She thought it was just another ordinary day at work, serving customers, smiling politely, trying to keep her head down. But beneath the surface, whispers turned into stares, and stares turned into something far more sinister. One small moment, a single cruel decision would change everything. She never expected that her dignity, her humanity, would be tested in front of everyone. But when the truth finally came to light, it revealed more than prejudice. It revealed power, silence, and betrayal. The question is, when injustice unfolds in plain sight, who will have the courage to stand up?
Marcus was known for his hard work and quiet kindness. Every morning, he arrived at the cafe before the sun was up, tying his apron with the same steady hands that had carried him through countless shifts. To most, he was just another face behind the counter, offering warm smiles and quick service. But to those who knew him, Marcus was more. A dreamer saving for night classes, a son helping his mother with rent, a man building a future piece by piece. It seemed simple, ordinary, almost routine. Yet, beneath that routine, something darker was waiting. Something that would soon test not just Marcus's patience, but his very dignity. And when it came, it would reveal the ugly truth about who was really watching.
It started with whispers, low, cutting remarks Marcus wasn't meant to hear, a chuckle when he passed by, a muttered word heavy with venom. At first, he ignored it, convincing himself it was nothing. But then came the shift in tone, the deliberate rudeness, the way customers who looked like him were served slower, or not at all. Marcus noticed the manager's eyes following him, not with trust, but suspicion, like he was the one stealing, the one lying. Each glance chipped away at his calm, but he kept going, holding on to professionalism.
Then, one afternoon, the simmering tension boiled over. A customer walked in, dressed neatly, polite, asking for nothing more than a coffee. Marcus greeted him, as he always did, but before he could pour a cup, the manager cut in sharply. "Not him. I'll handle it." The words were sharp, cold, dismissive. The customer looked confused, but Marcus saw it, the quiet humiliation in the man's eyes. And then came the unthinkable, the manager whispering, loud enough for everyone to hear, a cruel word Marcus had heard too many times before. The cafe fell silent.
Marcus's hands trembled, but he forced himself to keep working. Still, he could feel the eyes of every customer, some wide with shock, others pretending not to notice. His chest burned with anger, but beneath that anger was something heavier, fear. Because he knew what came next. If he spoke up, if he pushed back, it would not just cost him his job, it would brand him. And yet, if he stayed silent, the hate would keep growing, unchecked.
The day didn't end there. The manager started assigning Marcus the dirtiest jobs, snapping at him for mistakes he didn't make, piling on tasks no one could finish alone. Each order felt like a challenge. How much can you endure before you break?
And then came the breaking point. A tray of dishes slipped from Marcus's hand, shattering on the floor. Before he could even apologize, the manager stormed over, voice raised, anger flashing not just at the mess, but at Marcus himself. Accusations flew, false, cruel, and dangerous, the kind that could ruin more than a reputation.
The breaking point came fast, sharper than anyone expected. Marcus stood frozen as the manager's voice thundered through the cafe, each accusation louder and more venomous than the last. Thief! Lazy! Untrustworthy! Words hurled not just at Marcus, but through him, tearing at his dignity, stripping him bare in front of strangers. His chest pounded as the room tilted. He wasn't just being scolded. He was being branded.
The customers sat in stunned silence, coffee cups halfway to their lips, eyes darting between Marcus and the manager. Some looked away, unwilling to meet his gaze. Others recorded on their phones, the quiet hum of cameras capturing his humiliation. The air felt heavy, suffocating, as though the walls themselves had turned against him. And then the worst blow landed. The manager leaned closer, voice low but deliberate enough for everyone to hear, repeating that cruel word again, the one that reduced Marcus to nothing more than his skin. It echoed like a gunshot, shattering whatever strength Marcus had left to hide the pain. His hand shook so violently he thought he might drop everything he held. In that moment, time slowed. Marcus wanted to scream, to fight back, to demand someone, anyone say something. But his voice caught in his throat. He was alone in the middle of the cafe, the spotlight of injustice burning down on him. One wrong move, and he knew the consequences could be devastating. And yet, just when it seemed the silence would crush him completely, a single sound broke through. A chair scraping against the floor. Someone was standing, but were they standing for him or against him? The silence broke when a customer finally spoke, clear, steady, unshaken. "That's enough." The words sliced through the tension, and suddenly others began to murmur, voices rising against the manager's cruelty. Phones were lifted higher, recording every second. The power dynamic shifted in an instant. For the first time, Marcus wasn't standing alone. The manager's face tightened, his authority unraveling as the truth spilled into the open.
Marcus didn't shout. He didn't have to. The evidence was there, his dignity laid bare, the hatred undeniable. And while the humiliation burned, there was also a quiet strength in knowing the world had seen it too. In the days that followed, the video spread far beyond that cafe, sparking outrage, conversations, and demands for accountability. The manager faced consequences, but more importantly, a spotlight had been cast on the everyday racism too often dismissed as nothing. For Marcus, the scars remained, the sting of that word, the memory of silence before someone spoke up. But he also carried something else. Proof that even in the darkest moments, voices raised together can shift the balance. His story wasn't just his anymore. It became a reflection of countless others who endure the same quiet battles, invisible until exposed. And so, the question lingers. How many more stories like Marcus's must unfold before silence is no longer an option? How many times must injustice be witnessed before it is stopped? The answer depends on us, on what we choose to ignore, and what we choose to change.